From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Happy Tuesday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and we start off with just a beautiful shot out there on the coast here. This is 1 mile north of Trinidad, courtesy of Jackie Dixon. If I'm not mistaken, looking at that swing, it looks familiar to me. I feel as though my wife and I have been there in years past. But beautiful shot. I want to thank Jackie for sending in that photo, and she used the free Weather NorCal app. And all you have to do is download the app, download it from your app store today, and you can share your photos. And you just might see it right here on Weather NorCal. By the way, there have been issues with Android. If you continue to have issues sending pictures with Android, take it off your phone, then put it back on, and everything should be good to go. All right, let's take a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, February 10th. Let's head out the door this morning. It's going to be fairly overcast. Fairly dry, too. It's going to be a hurry up and wait type of day before that rain really kicks in. Late morning, early afternoon, southward, and then working its way northward today because we've got low pressure, as you can see, spinning to our south and west, and that's what's the rotation around that low is going to really draw that moisture up northward throughout the day. So looking at the HRRR forecast model here to start things off, you can see by midday, we're lucky if we see any sprinkles at this point. But then through the afternoon, you see how it becomes a little bit more widespread. But here's the deal. This looks fairly impressive, but keep in mind, this is not a lot of rainfall that we're looking at here. And snow levels, by the way, still fairly high, probably around 5,000 feet, maybe a little bit lower in some cases. But again, this is what I was talking about. We're not expecting a lot of rainfall out of this. You can see most likely less than 1/10 of an inch of rainfall for the valley. And look at the coast. The coast would be lucky to get much in the way of any measurable rainfall either. And as far as snow is concerned, the ski park may see some snow today and tomorrow, but as you can see, nothing significant. We're holding off for better chances for higher amounts of snow by the second half of this upcoming weekend and into early next week. And rain chances looking pretty good today and late in the day today into tomorrow. Very slim for Thursday, Friday, even Saturday. And then as we go into the second half of the weekend, early next week, a better chance for some more wet weather working its way in. So for today, mostly cloudy skies. Chances for showers will increase from south to north throughout the afternoon into the evening hours. Much slimmer chances for even measurable rainfall for the north end of Humboldt County and even Del Norte counties. Tonight, mostly cloudy, showers. Temperatures will be in the 30s for most of the higher elevations, 40s for the coast and for the valley. So your 7-day forecast, yeah, we got those off and on chances for rain in there. But it looks like, again, it's going to really kind of hold off in Thursday, Friday, Saturday before we see more chances coming into Sunday and Monday. Now, again, for the coast, it's going to be late in the day. Inland, also late in the day. Places like Trinity County, probably sometime mid to late afternoon before you start seeing showers. Snow level still fairly high, but they will lower to about 3,000 to 2,500 feet by the time we get into Sunday and Monday, and probably closer to 3,500 to 3,000 feet for places like Siskiyou County and into places like Susanville as well. And Alturas, yeah, I'd say your snow levels are probably going to be around 3,000 feet as well. All right, so that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Let's kind of start by talking about what we're going to be really talking about in the deeper dive in our headlines. So the chances for rain increase today. We saw that a little bit here today looking at the forecast model. We're going to extend it beyond that, though, as we go through the rest of this week, this weekend, and into next week. Now, with the chances for rain, we are looking at cooler air moving in. This is going to lower our snow levels, especially by the second half of the weekend and early next week. And this is most likely going to have travel impacts in the higher elevation. So if you have mountain travel plans, especially for the second half of the weekend and early next week, do note you may run into some issues. And we're going to get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Hearing loss can creep in little by little until one day you realize something's been missing. It's not about things being louder, it's about the moments that slip by. The joke you didn't quite catch, the quiet I love you, or the conversations with your kids that deserve the full attention. At Shasta Hearing Aids here in Redding, we believe hearing aid care should feel personal. Through compassionate care, a comprehensive hearing aid screening, and technology tailored to your lifestyle, we help you reconnect to what matters most. Schedule your free hearing aid evaluation today.
All right, so the satellite image is showing that we've got this storm system right here. And this is what we've been talking about even since yesterday. So it's taking its own sweet time, in fact, a little bit longer than originally anticipated, but you can see it's starting to kind of make more of an easterly direction here. So you've got this spin of low pressure, and as it moves more and more to the east, the flow is going to draw up those clouds and that rain into Northern California. This is why it's going to start for places like Chico and then eventually work its way northward into the Redding area. And once it does kind of get on the backside of that flow, it's going to have a hard time bringing that rain into places like Northern Humboldt and Del Norte counties. So we're going to watch for that. That will kind of linger in our area through the night tonight into tomorrow, and then once it pushes eastward, high pressure will actually start to build for your Thursday, Friday, even into your Saturday. And then we've got some systems coming down from the Gulf of Alaska, some colder ones that are going to lower our snow levels and bring us another round of some rain and snow by the second half of the weekend and early next week. So let's take a look at the water vapor. This is just showing the amount of available moisture. Saturated air is where the green air is, that's where the moisture is, or green colors are, that's where the moisture is. So you see a lot of it pointed towards Southern California, but there is some of that moisture that this area of low pressure will eventually tap into and of course push that northward. And you start to see that we're starting to see some of that right there, right? See that? So this will continue to intensify through the morning and into the afternoon. And again, that moisture is going to be working its way northward around that flow, around that area of low pressure. So let's take a look at that here. And I want to start off by just taking a look at the overall trend over the next 7 days or so, right? Because then we can kind of get an idea, and then we'll focus in on over the next few days, including today, obviously. So there's that system to our south. You see how it kind of lingers through Wednesday. But by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we've got a weak ridge of high pressure. That's going to dry everyone out by Thursday, Friday, and even most likely even into your Saturday. Look at Saturday. Now you remember yesterday, and really all the forecast models were in alignment that all of this would be over us through the day on Saturday and then more coming in behind that on Sunday. But now the forecast models are really backing off on its timing. So by the time we get into Saturday night into Sunday, we've got a chance for some of those showers. Another round coming in Monday, and then there's going to be some more activity possibly coming in behind that as we go into Tuesday and even Wednesday of next week. So let's take a look at Futurecast here for the next few days and kind of give you an idea even for today. So you've got the cloud cover in place, but notice there's no rain this morning or even snow. By midday, we're just beginning to see some of that work its way in the east side here. And again, it's the flow around that area of low pressure that's taking all this and moving it due north from the south. So look how dry it is out towards the north and west. Now, what you can see here, there's going to be kind of an impulse off to the north and east. And I think this is where we're going to see most of the rainfall and even that snow, mainly around 5,000 feet and locally lower. So probably not a lot of travel impacts as we go into this afternoon and evening as far as snow is concerned. But you can see some of the light rain here that we are seeing in the valley. And I want to stress the word light because this looks impressive. But keep in mind, it's not going to amount to much, especially for the valley. And as I mentioned, I think most of it is going to be to the east here. Now, there could be some periods of some moderate rainfall as these little impulses push through. And you can see overnight, we can just continue to see that feed of moisture around that flow of that low pressure system moving into Northern California, giving us more off and on showers here through the night and into Wednesday morning. And even as we go through Wednesday afternoon, we're going to see that kind of push on through. But you see how it becomes a little bit more scattered, more isolated. So the chances start to diminish as we go through the day on Wednesday and as that area of low pressure kind of shifts down to our south and east, and we're no longer really under the influence of that low pressure system. Now again, it will probably continue and maybe a lingering shower here and there for some areas Thursday morning, but by Thursday afternoon, we're really watching a lot of that begin to break up, and even the clouds starting to break up on Thursday. And then as we take you into your Friday, you can see it actually clears things out. Now, it looks like some fog along the coast here, but still looking at dry conditions. And then by Friday night, you can see a little bit of activity coming in from the west. Now, this is the system that's going to be approaching through the day on Saturday. So by Saturday evening, maybe some of that working its way to the coast, and then everyone possibly getting into that on Sunday. So remember I was talking about we're not going to see a lot of rainfall out of the system, at least for today. But once you can see here, once we do see kind of add up here for today, tomorrow, not necessarily Thursday, Friday, but for today and tomorrow, you're talking about a half an inch, give or take, for the valley, and maybe a little bit more than off to the east. But look at to the north and west. Again, it's the flow around that area of low pressure, so that by the time you get on the back side of that flow, you tend to see less energy and less rainfall. So as a result, we're just not seeing nearly as much off to the north and west. And this is just a different forecast model taking you through Thursday. There's that main footprint of the heavier rainfall, parts of the valley off to the east. But then again, on the back side of that flow, you tend to see less rainfall, and you can clearly see that. Now, we're talking snow now, and there is still that winter weather advisory in effect until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Now, this winter weather advisory from the National Weather Service is for elevations above 5,000 feet. Now, it may be a little bit lower than that, say around 4,500 feet in some cases, but overall, you're going to have to go up pretty high in elevation before you start seeing any significant snow. Now, that could bring some snow to the ski park. As you know, the base of the ski park is 5,500 feet. With snow levels around 5,000 feet, that's going to be borderline. It may be kind of a rain-snow mix at the base of the ski park here for today, and maybe a little bit lower for tomorrow, but not a lot of snow at the ski park here over the next few days. Again, we're really holding off until, say, Sunday, Monday of next week, where we've got lower snow levels and the potential for heavier snow as well. But there you can see nothing really all that significant. You get in the blues here, that's anywhere from 4 to maybe close to 8 inches for some of those highest elevations. And yeah, we'll have to watch Cedar Pass. You'll also maybe want to watch places like Scott Mountain Pass on Highway 3, as you may see some snow there, but I don't expect anything major. And by the way, the Sierra also seeing some pretty good snow here, especially to the south of Tahoe. You are seeing over a foot, even 2 feet of snow possibly. Wetter than normal conditions, that's what the Climate Prediction Center is really putting in here as we go in the middle and even start going into the latter part of the month. And that certainly does look a bit more promising as we look at those long-range models. And on top of that, we've got those cooler conditions, and that should allow us to see more snow in the higher elevations as well. In fact, we take a look at that 10-day trend, even for the valley, you're feeling those cooler temperatures. Now, Thursday, Friday, we're back up in the mid-60s, so getting mild again here. My son was actually asking me if we have any shorts weather later this week, and I'd say, well, if mid-60s is shorts weather for you, you might see that here for Thursday, Friday, in the valley at least, right? But then there's that dip in the temperatures again going into the weekend, and most likely through all of next week. Now, the wave heights, as you can see here, they are starting to drop here through the day today, and especially going into your Wednesday. But there still is a small craft advisory this morning, but should be allowed to expire by around midday afternoon. North winds at 10 to 15 knots to start off. They will get weaker through the afternoon, with your waves from the north at 5 feet at 5 seconds, eventually dropping from the west at 8 feet at about 13 seconds. And again, there's that small craft advisory for at least this morning. Your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. You're looking at those temperatures in the low to mid 50s here for Trinity County. Now, I've got snow levels around 5,000 feet. I think that's going to be a pretty good assessment here. And then we're dry Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then maybe some showers come Sunday, Monday with those lower snow levels. Now, for the North Coast, maybe a shower late in the day, right? And now, the farther south you go, the better the chance to rain. So, Shelter Cove, Honeydew, Garberville, yeah, I think you're going to see some measurable rainfall today. But you start heading northward, those chances are going to be slimmer here for today. 57 out towards Orleans, 58 degrees in Willow Creek, and 57 degrees in McKinleyville. For Siskiyou County, you're on the north end of that flow, so not a ton of rain or even snow for that matter, but you will certainly see some of that wet weather here later on this afternoon and evening. Modoc County, you're going to be well within that flow, so I do think you're going to see that rain this afternoon. Snow levels down to about 5,000 feet, and then of course lower as we go into early next week. And by the way, take note for Susanville, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I've got you dry. And it doesn't look like we're going to see much in the way of anything coming in even on Sunday. But by Sunday night into Monday, that changes over to more wet weather pattern. Now for the valley, what we've got here are temperatures upper 50s for your daytime highs. That wet weather kicks in later today. Again, you'll look at the 7-day forecast like, oh, it's going to rain all day. No, it's not, because it's not going to rain this morning. It's not until this afternoon. And then it looks like your Valentine's Day now looks to be dry before we see some showers. And by the way, what you see there on Sunday, is going to be later in the day. So it's going to be kind of a Sunday, late afternoon, evening into Monday before you start seeing that next round of rain. So up to the north, Redding still pretty mild, about 60 degrees for your daytime high, with 58 for Red Bluff and 59 degrees in Whiskeytown. Here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. So again, those shower chances increase as we take you through the afternoon today. Then, of course, off and on showers today on Wednesday, dry Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and through at least the first half of the day on Sunday. Then by Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, we see a chance for showers that'll continue into your President's Day. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon for the latest check of your weather. Have a great morning.